Hello all newcomers and welcome back fellow Eternians. As always, it's me, Emperor AP, and today we are going to be on r/Micronations. As you can see, we are getting everything set up here for the stream. So if you'll give me just 1 second, we will jump into r/Micronations. We're going to be talking about the new micronations that are on the subreddit. We're going to be talking about older nations that have been on the Reddit and kind of what direction things are headed in right now, because things are exciting for micronationalists, but they're also kind of difficult in the moment, and I think that's going to come through pretty clearly. In today's video, I really want to discuss what it means for these nations to come together. We've talked a lot about growth and talking about how in order to grow, we have to be able to let me see that. Let me see if this is here. Sorry, I'm trying to get the link for everybody in the Discord. Boop. That should be that. No. Wrong one. Here. Doo-doo-doo. So now, doo-doo-doo. There we go. Awesome. So we have everything started up. I hope everybody's jumping in. Hey, we got Comrade 115. What's going on, Xavier? How you doing? We got KTM saying, hey, what's going on? Stream hype, you know it. It's been a minute since I've been on stream, so I'm really excited about you guys being here. And my thing is wrong. We are not at 754 subscribers. We are almost at 775, which means we have 25 more till 800, and then we are getting on our way to 1,000. We are very close, and we are about to become something incredible for micronationalism. Thanks to all of you guys. We are trying to get to that 1,000 subscribers so we can start making money and show you guys how that economy works. But French Fry Gamer said hi. What's going on, French Fry? Duke Andrew said good afternoon. I hope you're doing well, Duke Andrew. KTM said, I've made it to this one. I will sacrifice my sleep for this. It's been too long. I know. I miss you. I miss everybody. Let me jump in the voice channel. Hey, we got the voice channel up. What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, what's up?
Hold on. I am not able to hear you guys that great. Give me a second.
Alright. Good to meet you, Emperor. AB, or I guess I should say your Majesty.
So I assume the stream can hear you guys, but I can't, so give me just 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm incredibly shocked.
It's fine.
I've never represented my nation on the internet before.
Well, I did.
Sorry guys, I'm trying to grab headphones and do a whole bunch of different stuff.
Oh, 2 more people.
Yeah. Let's see. Hey, we got it. We got everybody.
Hey, KTM, what's up?
I have returned.
Okay. So
who was that? Zariab?
We're all here. We got Evan here. We got Zarya. We got Buckeye Republic and Duke Andrew Carter. Also, right now in the voice channel, we have Emperor Vincent, KTM, Konigsberg, Viren from Micronations YouTube, Zar Steven, and Zarya. Hope everybody's doing well tonight.
Arthurius coming back representing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Monarchist gang forever.
Absolutely.
Monarchist gang.
Gang is the way.
Gang.
Monarchy is life.
Yeah.
Monarchy is the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, one of the things that actually Emperor Vincent of Arthuria being here brings up a great point. Emperor Vincent and I talked the other day about economies, and specifically about how micronations should grow their economies and what someone starting out in economics should be looking for. And my first reaction to that, my initial thought on that is, well, we all really need to try and be as united as possible. That doesn't always mean that we have to join each other's nations, but in the specific regard that I mean, I think this is an interesting turning point for micronationalism. I think that as we go into the future, we're going to have a few micronations that are the recent future. We're going to have a few micronations that pop up that are going to be able to start their own economic activity. They're going to start having a little bit of mobility through things like YouTube. Once you have that consistent economic activity going, there are two choices. You either kind of put it into your own external things, or you try and find a way to make that tangible for the community. And I think that's the one that's going to be more enriching, not only for the nation who does it, but also for the nations who interact with it. So, what I would really like to see Eternia do once we reach that point, once we are able to start making money through YouTube, through the help of people like you guys, is to be able to create those businesses like we've talked about, create those different things that people can purchase and trade amongst themselves.
Yes.
What I am curious about, oh, I'm sorry. Was somebody about to hit something up?
I was just gonna say, I wasn't sure if it was gonna be me, but I was just gonna say, your point at the beginning was like being like united. It plays into the old, into the Arthurian belief of brotherhood and unity. United we stand, to get divided we fall. Well,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Unit, it kind of plays to how we're a Unitarian state. Unity is the big belief in our nation, and it seems Eternia shares our belief.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing that's interesting is that when you talk about having unity with someone, you can't just say, well, we're choosing to be unified for no specific reason. There has to be something, if it's going to be long lasting, that is mutually beneficial for the people that are doing so. So the thing that I'm really curious to see grow and develop are things like our micronational map that we've done, places and like the Discord communities that we've created, like this our micronations that we're on right now. There have been a few things in micronationalism, not a ton, but there have been a few, such as Twitter, YouTube, all these different social media that have allowed people to connect and to cluster and to start creating a buzz of activity.
Can't create diplomatic relations.
Absolutely. They've been able to talk to each other, interact. They've been able to build connections and understand each other's motives. So now that that's happened, we need to have an expansion on that. There needs to be something created in micronationalism that allows for the expression of a need by the micronational community. Every time something's been filled, like for example, the need to document our micronational histories and our laws and our legacies and things like that,
Exactly.
that's been filled by MicroWiki. Now we need something, in my opinion, that is able to fill needs that are economic, needs that are of starting investment. I think there needs to be a way for nations who are doing better economically, nations that are having larger sums to invest, to be able to invest them in smaller nations. And for that to be,
I have an idea on that.
hey, absolutely. Let me see who's hitting us up right now. Who is this?
Koenig.
Hey, what's going on, Koenig?
So basically, in my nation, we have an idea that we've been throwing around about kind of a recycling program for money. Basically, the amount of recyclables you're allowed to hand in, you're able to get Syrexian currency,
Hmm.
which is our nation. We're still coming up with a name. We're slowly transitioning our republic into a monarchy, and thus we're
That's the
still
way it should
deciding.
always be. Public to monarchy.
Agreed.
You'll be the monarch.
That is the way.
That is the way.
That is the way.
Yeah.
But our idea was basically able to do that, and maybe it could get popularity and help clean up our parks, our forests, and stuff like that. We don't have parks, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Your infrastructure,
Mhm.
essentially.
Well-
If I'm not interrupting, obviously. I would just like to say that it's so ironic because today I was wishing to speak with AP about this topic, which is exactly the title of this live stream, which is where we go from here, which is very interesting because Eternia's YouTube channel has been going for some time now, and we are gonna soon hopefully reach our goal for 1,000 subscribers and hopefully be monetized. And I was actually wondering, and I had a few questions for you regarding this. That where, what you have talked so much about micronational economy and all of that. But after we get monetized and after we have that income coming, what are you gonna really do with it?
Absolutely.
you're gonna.
That's a fantastic question. So I think in getting into the detail of this, like you said, Viren, I want to make sure that and as we've talked about before on the channel, I want to make sure that firstly I build a secure system. So thanks to all of you guys submitting content by helping to create what we're doing, we're reaching that 1,000 subscriber point. Now at this turning point, once we are able to start making money off of these videos, once uh, that first data comes in that shows that, okay, we're getting ad revenue now, I want to start showing that and distributing that to you all. So the people who have made money through these videos that they've created, I want to firstly and foremostly, which will actually start pretty quickly here, I want to start discussing with people percentages, things like that. Something that is certainly fair, but that also allows us a little bit of revenue to be added. I'm thinking something like a 60-40 split or a 70-30 where the majority of the profit actually goes to the people who made the videos, and then Eternia takes a percentage of that for hosting the content. Once that is flattened, once people know, hey, we're going to receive the money that we were promised for making these videos, then I want to direct the rest of the funding that we save, that Eternia stockpiles, into starting to a savings account, an investment account for land. As we continue on past our 1,000 subscriber mark, I want to see more videos going up on the channel from myself that's talking about looking at land, that's talking about budgeting for our nation, that's talking about what are the things that we need to purchase short term to, say, grow and expand what we can do here on YouTube, but then to look at our long-term goal of purchasing land. When we're able to purchase land and we are able to start having people from our local community work there on a regular basis, that takes us from this step that we're at now, which is just trying to start some economy, to then being able to really diversify that economy and make it into something that is much more impactful on a direct level, not just through the internet.
Can I give you a
I'm
suggestion?
extremely I'm ex- sorry.
I was gonna ask AP if I can give an idea, like a suggestion.
Absolutely.
As the nation grows and like the actual number of official citizens seems to be small, I've noticed. Like it's like there's a number, there's like, and there's definitely there, but like there seem to be a minority compared to like just like regular Discord users or subscribers. I would say as like if the nation continues to grow, I would specify, and what I'm about to say is not meant to be a judge of your leadership. I think you're a good leader of Eternia. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to offend you here.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
I would say I would say maybe work to split up tasks
Mhm.
to make the work easier. What I mean by this is like maybe having some kind of like a prime minister maybe to serve as like a second in command, like an advisor, or maybe like a cabinet to run different like finance, um, diplomacy, the YouTube thing. You know what I mean, like that kind of thing. Like split up tasks so you alone do not have to rule. Like one man can't rule alone. That's the old saying. So you don't have to. And I will personally like to start a campaign for Viren to be prime minister if anyone wants to vote for that.
Uh, I was actually discussing this with you, Emperor Vincent, and
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about this that AP, I really respect your micro. I really respect my micro, like the micronation I'm part of, which is Ethereum, and I would I would like to see like at this moment in time, we are not really, if you know what I mean, we are not really at a point where all citizens are contributing and like it's really alive, the Discord channel and everything. uh but I would like to say that one of the ways we could raise morale, or one of the ways we could get more citizens, which I think we should focus on right now, like as a micronation, is by offering these leadership roles and ways for people to contribute to the micronation in more yeah, if you know what I'm saying, like
More involved.
government, through the government, and not only through like YouTube and like the imperial market which is coming up right now. Any thoughts on that?
I definitely
Absolutely.
agree with that.
Absolutely.
I do have something I've been meaning to say to other. Oh shit, I forgot.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I was thinking, and the minute I heard it stop, I was like, okay, idea time. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Please go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, basically, for monarchies, I've been thinking, because I've seen ones that make like grand crowns on their coat of arms, and ones you could never make. And my idea is, they sell crowns online, right? Like really nice looking ones for cheap. And I was thinking,
I got one.
to a micronation, be able to, because for instance, I found one that actually is made of metal, like is very good. Should
Mine's made out
we
of
actually invest in real crowns, to look a little more professional? Or should we just keep making ones that you're never going to put on your head and are just going to remain on your little flag forever? Like, that's just my personal opinion.
Well, and that's a great question. So I think, but it's weird because they don't seem fully correlated, but I think the things that Vincent and Viren were talking about and the thing that you're talking about, Koenig, both sort of blend together. And the theme of both of those is the idea of picking the right time. In talking about your crown, for example, Koenig, I do think having a professional crown and having an outfit that makes you feel like you are a leader, that makes you feel like you're presenting the image that you would like to, is very important. However, I also think that you have to look at the total worth of your nation. If I were creating a nation, as I am trying to, the way that I implement that is by saying, okay, how much is Eternia actually worth right now? And through the support of you all, in my heart, in my mind, it is worth the world. But in actual currency, in actual US dollars, Eternia isn't worth very much. It's worth what I have in the bank right now, and not really much income other than that. So the issue is, if I go out and buy a really nice crown and a really nice outfit for myself, that is spending a large chunk of the GDP of Eternia on something that may not directly impact the amount of money it can get in return. It may, and that certainly is something that is good. If you are looking to do that for marketing purposes, if you're looking to do that for branding purposes, it is a great way to make yourself seem more professional, to have people take you seriously. But it also needs to come with additional things. I don't think purchasing a specific crown should be your one move into expansion. I think it should be one in a number. If the thing that you would put all your money into is a crown, maybe reconsider what other things you could do that would affect your nation long term. Instead of, say, just putting into a crown, maybe you put into a smaller amount into the crown and add into a larger outfit, a larger ensemble that would make you look more professional. Or take that money and say, well, I don't really need an outfit or a crown necessarily right now, but I may need something like a flag if I don't have my own flag purchased yet, or if I wanted, say, server space to run a server, a new computer, a new something that would day to day allow you to do more and to interact more, rather than necessarily immediately on advertisement, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said in chat, I'm able to afford one with one paycheck, so I just want to make sure that was a good investment.
Absolutely.
If you want to be a monarchy for like a long time, like if that's like your set goal, like for me example, like I bought a little like plastic kind of crown that has like fake gems in it. It looks pretty official, but it's made out of plastic. I bought that for like $10, and along with it outfit, like a collared shirt, cape, that kind of stuff. I bought basically an entire outfit minus my sword, and that was like worth like maybe a total like $100. Bought that with an Amazon gift card I had. One of the best purchases I ever made. I now have an official outfit and I look completely legit.
That's awesome.
I'm thinking about I'm thinking of buying medals in the future if I get another Amazon gift card ever. I think I'm gonna buy some medals.
Absolutely.
I found one where basically it's not like a Prince type crown. Actually has like pins on the sides and such. I'll talk about that later. But I don't know. I thought it would really look good on a MicroWiki or website.
Definitely. If you want to post a picture of yourself on MicroWiki, getting a legit uniform is pretty interesting. I wanted to ask AP, do you have any kind of crown? Like plastic, real, like metal or anything like that kind of crown?
So it's interesting. When Eternia first started, I made one out of aluminum foil. It was small, and I made it and I posted it to our Instagram that we had at the time. But I don't really use it, and it's not something that I consider official in any means. It was just something more for fun.
It's more
Um,
it's more historical artifact now.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's not part of the current uniform, I'll say that. As well, going back to the topic that Viren brought up and that you yourself brought up, Vincent,
Yeah.
the need for other governmental positions in Eternia is apparent. I have started to feel the pressure of it myself in trying to fulfill the tasks I have through just me having class and work and school. The things that I've
Yeah,
been having to do have caught up to
Exactly.
me a little bit in keeping up with the posting and doing things like that. However, it's also been a point of contention a little bit in the nation and among its citizens about when the right time to do that is. I know, for example, Stephen had brought up the last time that this a similar notion was brought up that uh, it is important for us to have additional titles and things that we can grant to people. That gives us worth, but that worth must be direct. That worth must have some attachment. So,
Yeah.
if we assign somebody to be the head of our media, so somebody who would control all of our YouTube and Twitter and whatever, that would have to be such a large task that
yeah,
it is worth that person's time, and that does take up that person's entire time, um,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
that potentially is something that that person would make money at as well, because the way that our citizenship system works right now is that in order to be a citizen, you either one have to pay a tax, or two be directly contributing to the economy of Eternia. So if we create a title that is purely managerial, purely bureaucratic, there would be no way directly for that person to earn money. So at least in the nation. So unless we were to start paying that person for that, it would be difficult to justify it, such that they could just join a lower position and make money at it.
Yeah. That makes
yeah.
sense.
For
Like,
example, like it would obviously wouldn't want to give someone such a big role as um the head of media, which I'm sure you can like handle that. Obviously, you have a lot of workload, but still, but you can split that into like many sections. You see, as you were
Minister
talking
of
about the
YouTube.
Instagram, as you were talking about the Instagram, I actually texted about that recently on the Discord channel, general channel, about that I found it on Instagram. We have our Micronations YouTube has their own account on there. I think it's a really good way to keep another platform to keep people posted. And because a lot of micronations, like a lot of big micronations that I know, are on Instagram, but are not in any other platforms such as uh, Twitter or even Discord for some of micronations that are actually quite popular. And I think I would or someone else would be perfectly fine with controlling that Instagram. Obviously, I'm not saying that you should give them total control. Um, you can obviously assess what's going on in there, and like you should always be told before a post or anything serious. But that's what I was talking about, to split it into smaller responsibilities.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's
Yeah.
a great idea. I think the thing is as well that that takes a very special person, because like we discussed, you're right. We can break that down into smaller tasks. But it also requires somebody who would then take that task and run with it. So, in addition to Viren, if you took over our Instagram, for example, being able to make videos yourself for the channel, and in addition running the Instagram, that may be perfectly fine. That may be something you're happy to do. It just takes that special person. I know if we assign somebody to do something, to run a large part of us, like our Twitter or our Instagram, uh,
Uh,
making sure that they have the I guess drive in them to consistently post and to be thinking of things to make and to be forwarding the progress that we're making on that platform, that makes it worthwhile to have them in the position is really important, because we wouldn't be able to pay them, at least initially. So having having people who are doing it and are excited about doing it just for the cause is sometimes difficult.
That's
Yeah, I see what you mean. But actually, I think right now at the moment, a lot of people will be willing. Like I know so many micronations that a lot of people will be willing to take on that role, uh, and that and they'll become a citizen while they might not be a citizen when they first when they're before that position, that government position is offered. But once that government position is offered, they might actually be interested in joining the Empire of Eternia as a way of taking on that government position, as they don't have a lot to do right now at the moment, and or maybe they're happy to do that.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with that. Um, yeah, I just think it would take having someone who is dedicated to doing that. But I agree. I'm not opposed to it. I can definitely start that. Especially because I would really like to find somebody who can, uh, uh, definitely, like you said, I don't want to give over complete control, but at the same time, I would like somebody who can be fairly hands-on with it. You know, I would like to um, have somebody who can take it into their own hands to start thinking of things to post, to start potentially creating advertising campaigns and things like that on a small scale that would accelerate the rate that we're growing on these other platforms. Because you're right, if we can pull somebody onto the YouTube channel who has never looked at micronational YouTube channels before, that's a great way to interact. There are plenty of sections of micronationalism that are just on Twitter, that are just on Discord, that are just on MicroWiki or Reddit or Instagram. So having stronger and stronger connections to all of those things allows us to create a funnel that kind of pulls people to the other sections of our platform, the other areas that we are in.
that.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would say honestly that the best um the best thing to do, like I said, is always having some kind of bureaucracy. And I agree also that it's
Thank you.
like
I
you
appreciate
need
it.
to find the right time. And from my personal view, I'd say if you want a right time, I'd say the right time is soon, because I think you need to hit it at the ground level so you have time to organize it. Like I organized my bureaucracy like right after I founded the nation so I could get everything in check. You have to hit it at the ground level before you become too big and it becomes too hard to get positions respected and organized. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And I think that's another reason why we should do it as well, because, like you said, getting those details ironed out is really important. But as well, we're trying to race toward that 1,000 subscriber mark. So the more that we can pull together those resources now,
Road to
the
1K.
absolutely the better and better we're getting right as we near that 1,000 mark. So we definitely want to start off running.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
want to keep the once you hit the 1,000 mark, you'll definitely be like on a road towards success. And I just like to mention just as like a personal message from me, like I'm very honored that I was able to have an interview that was posted on the Eternian channel. That was a nice media. So I thank you and Viren for giving me the opportunity to give a little media attention to my nation.
Absolutely, and thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah,
I can't speak for Viren, but I know for myself, it's exciting to see all of these different nations that we've been able
yeah.
to contact. And you being one of the first ones, I'm sure inspires others. So when they see your interview and they see, really what a micronation can be, you may inspire them to start their own. And in addition, you may give them that idea
Push.
of, well, right, well, I can advertise this, I can get this out there, people should know what I'm about.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I also like the
And
evolution of titles. It's like you interviewed a president, then a king, then an emperor.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
I think what I'm trying to do there is exactly what Emperor Vincent is saying, which is trying to expand our focus and
Exactly.
trying to like which is the main goal of Eternia, trying to increase, trying to, you know, get a bigger community. So
Exactly.
through that, it's not all about advertising, obviously, CVs. I also want people to learn about the ideas that these different micronations have, such as the empire of Turia has some great ideas on economy and agriculture, and I have learned a lot through interviews, like through interviewing these different smaller nations.
Yeah, that's
What
that's
empire did you say had the best economy then? I couldn't understand you there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
the Empire of Eternia. I think he said has a good economy idea.
Sorry.
I said Arturia.
Oh,
Your
Arthuria. Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's interesting. that You say economy idea. Yeah, we instituted some agrarian reforms. Our big thing is see, one thing I like about Eternia and I like AP has done. It's like you give the Eternia focus. Like Eternia's on like you want to bring a sense of unity in Eternia. That's like through economic. Like you want to have an economic push,
Mhm.
which is different from Arthuria. In Arthuria, I did that through military strength. Like I grew my navy as like a symbol of patriotism and a symbol of pride. So that's where you see it all comes down to having a sense of unity in micronations, and different nations decide to do that in different ways. I chose a big navy. You chose a main focus on economy. Others may focus on other things, say a space program. Uh,
yeah, totally.
Absolutely, and that's where I think it's really important to have great citizens like Viren here, because
exactly. You're in
as
for
it.
prime minister.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're in for prime minister.
Absolutely, I think um, as Eternia grows, my position becomes more and more about attempting to keep that unity, about trying to figure out ways that we can successfully transition from the way that we have had things set up and designed in the past to the new boundaries, the new things that we are expanding into and reaching out for, and making that transition as seamless as possible. What Viren is doing so well, and what I think is the important role of our citizens and eventually our other governmental leaders, our other authority figures, is going to be to push those bounds of what we can do, to try and expand how we're reaching, and to do things that really tap into the needs of the micronational community. Because they always say that the more successful something becomes, generally the less detached the more detached it becomes from the thing it originally was. And so I want to make sure that as Eternia, as people who are trying to make that push for micronationalism, that we always keep our ear to the ground, that we always feel connected to the needs and the desires of the micronational community. So I think that's what Viren is doing wonderfully in this series
Yeah,
and in what he's done in general.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It's about connecting with smaller micronations that do not really either have not chosen to say mine or do not have the chance to express themselves in the micronational community due to their smaller size compared to like the bigger players in the
Yeah.
in the area. Like a lot of us in the community. I'm not saying like all of us are tiny, but I'm just saying like compared to bigger players like Austin, Asia, Molossia, Sealand, whatever. Um, we these things like the micronational catalog allowed us to have a say and uh like show ourselves, like show what we believe in and what our whole what our thing's about. And that
Yeah.
and that's very important in the community. You need to have like me and AP have saying, like you need a sense of unity and you need a sense of like shared identity in a micronation, in a community, whatever. You need a sense of unity and you need a sense of a shared identity and culture. That's a big thing that many micronations seem to fail at. That's one thing I think democracies, going back to that old stream, why democratic nations fail. It's because they don't seem to have a shared identity because everyone has their own view. You know, you know what I mean?
Hey guys.
Oh, hey, Maloney, what's up?
Hey, what's going on? As well, Viren, it sounded like you were going to say something there for a second.
Not really, but yeah, I was not really gonna say anything, but you guys can continue. I'm listening. I'm really interested.
Oh, absolutely. So
I do actually have a question about alliances, if that's okay.
absolutely, please go ahead, Koenig.
Oh, I would
Well, basically,
love to talk about alliances.
the Republic has had alliances with over Micronations from 3 continents. Since we are trying to change from a republic to a monarchy, and you see we had translated several treaties from traditional Chinese to English, from French to English. Would we have to re-edit those treaties so it would say, Kaiserreich instead of
I don't think
monarchy?
you have to. I don't think you really need to edit the treaties. You just say like
Yeah.
your monarchy is a continuation of the republic, and every treaty that applies to the republic also applies to the kingdom.
Yeah, it's a plan transition.
I'm about to spend like 3 hours doing every treaty again.
No,
Yeah.
I think you could
Also-
make.
Sorry about
You're fine. I think you could make a new document that says something effectively like, "We've transitioned our government. We wish to continue all laws, all treaties, everything that we have created previously under the Republic." And then what you could even do to solidify that more, if you wanted to, is to send it around to those nations that you have alliances and treaties with, such that they could sign it as well, and then that would show their additional support, so that later no one could say, "Well, this is a violation of the treaty because you changed governments." So it'd just make it that much more official on both sides, without that need for changing all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
definitely.
tomorrow is going to be the very day the Dan Army Republic finally comes into existence.
Okay.
Congratulations! Hey,
Congratulations.
there you go. Are you having a party to celebrate? What's the the big
You should do
move?
that.
I'm actually planning a party here.
There
I
you go.
am.
We're doing ours on Saturday, so congrats. We got something in common now.
Hey,
Our
Parties all around.
we are
Birthday.
our next. We're waiting. We have to wait until March 8th until our 1 year anniversary.
absolutely.
1 year
Um,
anniversary.
September 1st.
Viren,
Good for you, Buckeye.
It
I
turns out the currency that we're going to be using in the beginning is going to be American currency until like we have enough gold. Now the reason for this is simple. Like I propose literally getting gold from recycling electronics, but of course there are other ways you can actually that you can get gold besides getting electronics. I'd have to like go through like countless numbers of electronics, and the amount of chemicals that are needed just to get the gold is really extensive.
Yeah, it'd be probably
You
cheaper.
just better off just buying gold.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like
That-
have gold be your one currency. I would say have a gold standard, like have some.
That's
currency.
exactly what I was gonna do.
Oh, really? Okay, then
Yeah.
I was mistaken. I thought you just meant
Yeah.
just gold. I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
Okay, please allow me to explain, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, basically, just like the U.S. did with gold currency, not gold currency, just like the U.S. did with gold standard. In technical terms, this basically meant that this essentially means that this basically means only one thing here. Now, what this means is going to be very simplistic. Now, basically, this is like the reason why we're doing something similar to gold standard is because it would be better for us to actually, to do it like that, as opposed to just as opposed to doing something like, as opposed to actually just having a fiat currency where it's not worth anything in regards to it having actual value.
Yeah.
And not to mention, you remember when I first joined, right, Emperor AP?
I sure do.
Now, basically, one thing I forgot to mention was that the Dan Army Republic was going to have a form of currency called the Dan Army Republic dollar.
Excuse me
Now,
1 second, guys. I gotta
basically-
grab my charger.
Okay.
All right.
And while he does that, I'm gonna go get a drink of water.
And he doesn't. I'm gonna go get a drink of milk.
He's like,
Oh.
everyone's getting drinks.
Well, I am in my basement,
Should I
supposed to
get a
be
drink of Dr.
asleep.
Pepper?
Nice, KTM.
Hey, can I go get a drink of Dr. Pepper real quick?
Yeah, no problem.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Drinks. Everybody getting drinks.
Yeah.
Thirsty boys.
I personally have no plans of instituting a currency other than the U.S. dollar and coin into my country, just because I honestly, it's both. I don't know how to produce it in large numbers cheaply, and I don't really want to. It's way easier.
You know, I have a.
Hey, sorry guys. My entire setup fell. I don't know if you guys have been watching the stream, so I was trying to fix it.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm on my phone. I can't do both.
All good.
I'm on the basement right now. I'm probably gonna go to bed soon. Too much. Yeah, just slept.
Very true. You have a good night, man.
Yeah, I'm not leaving yet. I'll tell you when I'm leaving.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you
So,
got yeah, it's definitely I honestly there are several individuals I like in the micronational community that I think more people should be listening to, and Darren and AP are two of them.
yes.
Because I like AP's economic mindset of like
Yeah.
creating strong micronational united economies, and I like Darren's just overall chill persona of just like be like everyone should just be all friends and have like a nice friendly community, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
I like to do the best of both worlds, like have like some but not like tons of economic stuff. Not saying having tons would be bad, but and then having building a friendly community around this nation, like what Darren does with the great democracy of Jar. Or, I love how he made his own ideology for his country. I love when people do that.
Hey, you know what's hilarious?
What?
The party only holds one seat in a parliament, and that's Darren.
That's the only seat that
Yeah, that's the only seat. The other seats are either split between the conservatives or the Democrats.
Wait a minute. There's actual. I didn't look this up. Like I haven't watched any of his streams or not. I don't really watch streams. He's been having political parties form. Oh jeez.
Actually, he didn't form them. The candidates for parliament did, so he had
Nice.
no control over the parties.
That's
In one of the streams, forgot which one, but it's been like a while ago. We had the parliament elections. We made campaign signs. And we like on one corner of this one popular street, it was just stacks and stacks of campaigning signs. And unfortunately got demolished.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
I didn't make the cut.
Uh-oh. I'm sorry to hear about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the same time, if I did make the cut, I probably wouldn't be the ambassador anyways, because the reason why I ended up dropping out wasn't because of my poor polling, but was more because Darren appointed me as the ambassador to Eternia. So
Yeah, that's it works. Foreign diplomacy for me works because in a very emperor move, since I do all the very limited foreign diplomacy we do anyway, I made myself Minister of Foreign Affairs as well as Emperor. So
dictator.
hey, I have ways they can overrule me. I did actually specify on that though that the Imperial Council, which is made up of the monarchs of the kingdoms that make up the empire, can overrule me with a majority vote.
Oh, okay. So you're going like the Holy Roman Empire style.
Kind of, yeah. Except more united because I hold a lot more authority than the HRE Emperor did.
Yeah,
Like,
let's say that.
Yeah, like it's far less united. The autonomy of the kingdoms has actually been one of the big issues that we have never been able to resolve, mainly due to the pandemic that happened, because that threw a cog in that was a way bigger issue we had to focus on, which thankfully I'd like to report during the entire COVID pandemic, which seems to be coming to an end now, not one Arthurian citizen or relative of an Arthurian citizen got the virus.
I'm glad to hear that. That's great.
So that was a big health 100.
Now,
Health 100.
Now, I do want to bring this up. A minute ago, we were talking about Jar and talking about KTM being the ambassador. KTM, I still haven't heard from Darren. Still don't know what's going on.
I know, but I have news for you. There will soon be a new opportunity for you personally to get in contact with him. He is creating a Discord. So when he makes a Discord server for Jar, you can find his account, and then you yourself can personally message him, and you can also message and get his attention in the Discord chat as well.
I guess, but man, you're the ambassador.
I know, but I also recently got a job too, so like I've been like off the grid for like
Yeah,
I
I've
don't know,
been
for
on
about
the
3
other
weeks
server I'm
now.
on with you, the attempted jar assembly. I noticed that you were on offline a lot.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of surprised when you joined the stream because I was like, oh, he did come on.
Well,
He's
I was
finally come back
surprised
online.
myself. Usually, I'd stay up with my parents and watch Chicago PD, but they're tired, so I took
Yeah.
the liberty to
Watched-
sacrifice my
watched,
sleep for this.
I started watching the show Psych. If you know that show, really fun, really good show.
Nice.
I'm more into
So,
Star Trek.
Absolutely. I want to say, I don't know. I feel like I definitely this is nothing against you, KTM. You've been a cool a cool ambassador and everything. I don't know. I feel like having like reached out to Jar and having like made multiple contact, especially through you, in like wanting to do that, and to have just not heard back, and to have continued to hear like, yeah, something's coming, and nothing ever comes. It kind of
yeah, I
it's
know.
bothersome. I don't really think I want communication with Jar anymore.
I see where you're coming from. I tell you something's gonna happen, it doesn't happen. But when that happens, like I literally like basically tell you what Darren himself says. Between his, I've noticed between his what's happening in his real life outside of the nation, um, he's having some organization issues right now between getting the checklist done for the micronation and at the same time getting whatever he's doing like for his IRL job as well.
Yeah.
Agreed. I just think that I don't know. If you're claiming to be a leader and you're claiming that like this is important and you're claiming to reach out, I don't find that I'm not upset with you, KTM. I feel like that's an issue of Darren's. Like if he feels
Yeah.
like that's important, it just feels like it shows a lack of importance on my end. You know what I mean? Like if one
Yeah,
person who
because
you feel like
I
is an
wouldn't say lack
equal
of. I would say
reaches
lack
out,
of importance. I would say less lack of importance. I would say less lack of time,
but
which
yeah,
I
he's
struggled
been
with
really
later.
right now. He's
Previous.
been like between everything. He's been having little time. On top of that, there's been some issues on the Minecraft server between hackers and government politics surfacing into his streams
That's why
and
I
stuff
thought party
like.
politics were a bad idea.
Well, it wasn't meant to be multi-party, but he kind of lost control over that.
but that's kind of what I mean, you know?
That's why you should have
Like
just picked the super president. That's what I'm saying.
but the idea that like all of this is very important and all of it's a very big deal. It's not that hard to stop people raiding your Minecraft server. You just make them all viewers, and then you slowly add people that you want.
We're dealing with like actual hackers. Like there's people who brought back the original form of obsidian, like glowing obsidian. We've had people fly around in survival mode and everything. Like
But that's what I'm saying. Can't you just restrict the amount of users that
yes,
you
we can
allow?
restrict them, but if they're like a real like actual like hacker and they can hack the system and stuff, we don't have any anti-hacks
If
or any anti-hack plugins because we are um like cross-platform, and we are saving up money to like maybe like join Mineplex or something and join their anti-cheat and anti-hacker plugins and stuff. But for now, we're kind of at their mercy. Right now, there's from what I've heard, there's been less hacker. Like there's been like little to no activity from the hackers yet. But like a few weeks ago, it was a real problem.
Absolutely. And I understand that. I disagree. I think the only way someone can hack your server is if they're first on your server. But if you never allow them access in the first place, they just
And
can't.
that brings into problem number two. We cannot ban people, which is a
Why not?
it's the way how it's set up. Like we operate on Relic and not Java, so it's a little bit complicated. You have to like join like one of those host areas where like you can have like you join a server and there's multiple different servers in that server that you can join type deal. So right now the only thing we can do that's close to banning is just teleporting criminals like Yi to like prison cells like Bedrock and just leaving them there.
Absolutely. It just sounds like all of this sounds like it's come up within maybe the last month, two, few months, something like that. The thing I've been talking about has been happening since I started this channel, is the issue.
Yeah, I know.
So
I'm
it's
sorry.
now just like a fence. Again, it's nothing toward you. I just feel like I
know
have
it's
a
not
different
towards
opinion
me.
of
It's a
who
lot
Darren
more
is
on
now.
Darren.
Yeah.
It's a lot on Darren. He's I don't know what's been going on. He says he said he's in contact with you, but he's always, failed on that, and I'm just sorry.
No, it's all good. It seems like that's not like I guess that's the thing that's weird. It just feels like that's not of high priority, which means it's like I don't know, how much do you feel like your nation is important? How much do you feel like the things you're trying to do are important if
I
you
mean,
like the
as an
things you say
ambassador,
you don't like fulfill?
yeah. I mean, I say like as an ambassador, JAR itself is very, very important. But from my personal opinion and my own perspective, um, JAR is for the majority of the citizens, and I like to include Darren as like a fantasy nation. There's very few realists. Like, like I'm one of them. Like, there's very few realists
Yeah, that
out,
does. It's
out
not really
there,
Darren's.
and like the majority of the Jarlement that's supposed to be pushing Darren to get in contact with you aren't, because they're not realists. They're mostly fantasy, and this is one thing that we're really struggling with now. Is that it's just like a struggle between the realists and those who are a part of the fantasy.
Yeah, that's what I'm. That's yeah. That's it. Seems to be an issue because like Darren's. It doesn't seem like Darren's goal was ever really to have a realist nation. It seems like his goal is just to have a fun community, which I'm personally all for.
Yeah.
One thing I'm just gonna mention because I've wanted to bring this up due to like me mentioning AP's kind of like realist policies and all that, like right, and you mentioning the realist versus fantasy and the Parliament, right? The
Hmm.
thing I've noticed is something I've personally, I'm not say who, it wasn't someone in the server, by the way, it was a private DM. I get kind of bashed for it. um how like hardline realists are bashing less real or full fantasy nations, which like yeah, if you're making claims and it's getting kind of annoying, sure, but if you just are you having some fun and like realists are bashing you, I feel like that's a little bit like a too far. Like this is meant to be a hobby, chill, and I'm not saying. And one thing I like about if AP, one thing I like about you is that you're not one of those realists. You're a really good realist who wants to make money and do this thing, but you're not one of those realists who bashes other people who don't have the same views, like who don't have the set goals of having a big, like a developed economy or whatever, and just want to have this as like a hobby, make a community,
Yeah, but
whatever.
I do have to agree with you on that. Back in
I agree
2018,
too.
Yeah,
I personally was told to straight up dissolve my nation and join another one, which I'm gonna say personally offended me due to my insane. I would personally like to say I'm probably one of the most nationalistic micronationalists when it comes to his own nation, and
it's probably
because I am
the
insanely
micronations.
prideful I'm very prideful of my nation, and when someone tells me to straight up dissolve it because it's not realist and not like basically a business, that hurts. That hurts. That offends me, and
Hmm.
I'm
yeah, that
I
like,
would
can
definitely
challenge you.
hurt. Yeah,
and I'm
that
just
would hurt a lot.
and I'm just like, I never said I didn't really go at it with that guy, but I just kind of said I was just like that hurts a little bit, and I'm just like, I don't know, but the whole but you get what I mean. Like it's a realist versus fantasy, like, and I have no problems. Like I've run fantasy nations that were just like in a Minecraft thing for a joke or have some fun with it. And I think that's completely fine. If you're not going to be a jerk, whether realist or fantasy, fine. But don't tear into people for their beliefs. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my, it's with everything.
Hmm.
But that's one of the big issues in micronationalism where that topic comes up of
Yeah.
accepting other people's opinions. It's a
It's
big,
Now this
it's a, it's a big thing, and it's a big
Yeah.
sad thing. Like people won't tolerate other people's opinions because they think they're right and everyone else is wrong, and then they'll get mad and tear into other people who are just stating their opinions and what they do, and it's just it's in society. Like in modern society, like in politics and micronational politics, and that's a sad thing. And
Yeah, it is.
When I was 14 and I first joined the Micronational community, I had made a flag, and I didn't use Flag Maker, believe it or not. I'd actually asked people to help me, and I'd taken a week to actually get people to help me set up certain parts. I got made fun of so bad, I had to leave.
Yeah, and that's
It
the
was
thing.
Too much.
Like they call
Wow.
people like, oh, you're a noob, you're a new nation. Like, what's so wrong with new nation? Like, I'm sure all these people at one point were some kid who made their house a nation and said like we're a nation, and now they rip into people like saying like, oh, this is your nation's immature or whatever. Like, if they're being immature, yeah, that's one thing. But if they're like actually trying, like they want to make something, and you're bashing them, you're not helping. You are part of the problem. And that's
into a downward spiral like 2
Yeah.
years of me like trying to appease the guy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
And that's-
it's really interesting to see, like you eloquently put, Vincent. I think
Yeah.
it's important that we understand, as micronationalists, we're all coming from the same starting point. Even nations who have done things like Sealand, and taken a base and armed themselves and done all these things which are very, very realist, we still all come from the same point. It still all starts with an idea, a desire to do something. And where that goes from there, whether it grows into something more realist or something more fantastic, it still should be respected that it's an idea that you're pursuing. It's something that you feel like the world needs. So even if you aren't contributing in an economic sense, or what may be considered a realist sense, you are still making an impact on the community, and you're still
Yeah, by having
somebody
fun,
that's
by
important.
having fun.
Absolutely.
That's a simple thing. Yeah.
And
Multiple times I've considered just like as like a joke, like it's still part of my nation, but like making my bedroom or something like that, like some room in my house, like um like some ridiculous giving and make supreme thing a joke.
The national
Like
province of Toiletland.
like yeah, I mean not that ridiculous, but something like that, like the evil, like the supreme tyrannical empire of Nakzaka or something like that, like something crazy, and give myself a
Up.
crazy title, and just have some fun with it, like mess around,
absolutely.
which
Yeah,
which I find funny.
I think the only place where people get into trouble, which is where my view starts to diverge, is making sure that you are very direct with the way that you're approaching it. So I agree. If you're a fantasy nation and you consider yourself a fantastic nation, and you tell people that you're a fantastic nation, those people shouldn't then be upset that you're not realist.
Yeah.
But I do think that if you just make very large claims without defining yourself as realist or fantastic, it can come off bothersome when you're in a community that's majority realist.
Yeah, if I did that, like, I think I might do that actually with my friend as like a joke. I might do that, but if I made like the evil empire of Noxaka or something like that, like some crazy thing like that, and claim like Pluto, then I would very quickly say this is a fantastical nation. Like I one time made a nation back in November of last year. I made a nation called the Bedroom Empire, and I immediately said this is meant to be a joke, and I never did any kind of foreign diplomacy. But it was just a fun thing I did with my friend. Like I made my stuffed animals the Imperial Council, which was pretty funny.
I love it.
and we just messed around and we had some fun with it, and then it eventually destroyed itself in a civil war, but that's another story. Hey,
You're actually a serious problem in the nation currently. I'm sorry to bring that up, but basically the monarchy I've been talking about, like how I've really been wondering. Basically we had a vote, republic or monarchy.
oh, so we did.
And,
Yeah. We did too. That's what I was trying to say.
and the issue is republic won. I don't know what to do.
Ew.
5-2. I'm like,
do what
oh,
Caesar
shit.
did. Do what Caesar did.
Just pull a
Defend
sheep.
the
Just pull a sheep Palpatine. Start some kind of war. Play both sides against each other. Then have them then have them both destroyed, and declare yourself for a safe and secure society.
One of them
Create the
has
first
the right to
galactic empire. I'm sorry.
One that we did.
Polish Eve
Polish
Palpatine.
Eve,
That's
for a safe and secure
Team
society.
McCain.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire. I'm sorry.
I actually do that. I'm like, I come up with all the heraldry, the vexology. I've come up with all of it, and I don't know what to do.
Well, I have a suggestion.
okay. You're
Unlimited
giving me Revenge of the
power.
Alright, so
I mean, I love Star Wars.
All right, hold on. Everybody talking at once. Let's.
Koenig, what were you gonna say?
I was just waiting for someone to give good advice.
So my suggestion is that you give the Republic government a challenge, a challenging thing to pass, and one that that's gonna get clogged up and is going to cause problems, it's gonna cause people to point fingers and stuff, and then that's when you walk in and you be like, hey, this is what happens when we're a republic, this is why we need a monarchy. Or if that fails, you just raise your own little, I don't know, 1-man or 2-man army, and you walk in like Caesar did, and just have Caesar ended the Roman Republic and made the Roman Empire.
Yeah, made president. Made
You
president.
do that, you just walk right in with a few plastic swords and Nerf guns.
Personal.
Our idea was literally just to make an absolute monarchy, but then he was like, I want to be prime minister. I'm like, fuck. Then I had to come up with something for that, and it's got more and more complicated, and luckily it's been working out, but the problem is I've worked so hard. Like, I put 3 days, probably 20 hours of editing, and I'm working as hard as I can. I'm making heraldic necklaces, I'm making a crown, working as hard as I can, and holy crap, it's tiring.
Koenig, can I give you some advice, Koenig?
Sure.
So where do you feel like your goals lie? Do you consider yourself more realist or more fantastic?
I definitely consider myself to be a realist, because everything that I'm making is going to be here eventually.
Perfect. So then, that being the case, I would recommend that you do what you feel like is right for your nation, first and foremost. Because before I started Eternia, I've talked about this before on streams, I started a micronation called Veriditas. And it was supposed to be between myself and a few other people at my university. And it was a democratic institution. We were all going to be a part of a big council.
Disgusting.
Absolutely. And so when we developed this large council, I spent many hours, writing and trying to figure out and trying to plan how to make everybody feel comfortable and excited about the nation that we were building. And everybody had great input, and there was a lot that ended up being done. But when push comes to shove and you're trying to figure out your next plans, when you are needing to start calling on people to do different things for your nation, you'll quickly find out that people are really excited to input ideas and to give their thoughts, but a lot of the time it's harder to get them to put their work toward that and to actually give as much as you have in making that. So if you feel like there's an important direction that your nation needs to be going in, and you feel like other people aren't contributing their fair share to that, it is important to address that, and it's important to make it known. Hey, I'm the person who started this. I am the person who is running this. If you have something that you would like to propose, if you have something that you would like brought up, write a law, create something. Let's discuss it. But your job as a leader should not be necessarily to make everybody in your nation happy with your nation. It should be to ensure the existence and growth and success of your nation.
Yeah, with the Veritas, what was it, Veritas?
Veriditas. It was Latin for greenery, essentially.
That's interesting. You see that I agree with his advice, and I think you should follow that, Koenig. I just noticed one flaw with that nation, and that one flaw was that I see the extreme lack of a monarchist slash and or militarist coup d'état to pass some legislator that maybe the Congress may not agree with.
They're all global citizens, so I can't do that. If I could, I'd march in with a flag in my hands, covered in knight armor, and scream, "I'm the fucking king of everything."
I'm the king of
So then what's the issue with you doing that?
The issue is the fact that my republic's been around for 5 months, right?
Right.
It's been around longer than any other migration I've ever made. I've made a constitution. People are really happy with it. And the problem is, I'm not happy with it because the heraldry sucks. I made it in like 5 seconds. I'm like, oh my god, this is awful. And I'm embarrassed of the flag because it's incredibly complicated. And I've come up with a simpler flag, a greater coat of arms, and I don't know what to do with it. And I'm like, shit, because I really want to be able to make a monarchy. You know, I really want to be able to be the König of the Königreich of Selexia. That'd be great.
I like king nation, like kingdom, Königreich.
Absolutely. So then that being,
Would you guys open with that to talk to them?
so
You know,
you can, but I think, how many people do you have in your nation?
we have like 11 citizens.
11 citizens. Okay. So
26.
So that's the thing. I think if you're trying to go about this democratically, because honestly, you really don't have to. You could just go, I made this, I have control of the stuff, I'm just going to do a new thing. But if you want to go about it democratically, if you want to try and save as many citizens as you can, because more than likely with change, you're not going to be able to get everyone, or at least right away, the thing I recommend is that you go about essentially just slowly converting people. You start with individuals and contact them directly and say, hey, this is the new government that I'm trying to build. This is a position that I'd like you to be in, or this is my proposal for it. Do you accept, and will you join me in that? And if they accept, wonderful. They're a part of it. You have more support and more legitimacy to your claim. If they don't, then, you know, yeah, they can find another nation to join.
Yeah. I personally, I agree with AP. Like, try to get support and all that. And if you wanna have fun with it, which is always my method, I'd say I agree with Dan and say pull a sheep Palpatine and have like some kind of conflict, and then you roll in and it's like, hey,
I am the Senate.
Exactly.
Not yet.
Oh, jeez.
Here's the reason
That
why I
was spot on.
Thank
You'll be
you.
punished for
I'm
your
really
lack
digging
of vision.
I'm here to destroy you.
Ah, yes. Good times with the Micronations.
Good times with my.
What's going on, Buckeye? How are you?
Yeah.
Star Wars, I swear.
Who do you think in here can actually make a good Palpatine impression when
Before
he's actually saying, "Time has come. Execute Order 66."
before we do that, okay, we're not. That's a little bit off track for the stream right now. That's a little bit off track for the stream right now. So
Oh, sorry about that.
what?
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. So Koenig, what I wanted to bring up. Excuse me.
Yeah.
What I wanted to bring up, Koenig, is the reason I suggest against creating a false emergency in your nation is because you're the one that has created the legislation. You're the one that set up the entire nation, and you would be the one proposing the conflicting legislation. Even if somebody else did, it's still, if there is slowness, if there is difficulty in the government, it is because of your creation. So all someone has to say to logically defy what you're saying is, if you say, hey, this republic that I built sucks, let me build a whole new monarchy, someone could just say, well, why should we give you any more power than you already have if what you built previously wasn't successful, and you're claiming that yourself? You should be ousted as leader. We should create something that is more stable than what you created. Not saying that that's possible, but that could be a scenario that is a lot worse for you than what the alternative is, which is just to say, honestly, I am the leader of this, I'm the person who created this, I'm moving directions. Please, those who support me, get on board.
Well,
Yeah,
I agree with Emperor AP. Technically, if you don't manage the, I mean, technically there will be some people who will say, well, if your republic wasn't managed in a certain way, then we don't want to be part of your republic or something, or your monarchy, basically.
I do
That's what
actually
it's
have a question. I've led the Republic just fine. It's I'm not happy with the designs because everything else is great, and I can't pass any other design because I have no ideas. This is my idea. Either you're with me or you're not. That's probably what I'm gonna tell them.
Yeah, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, you gotta have your
Yeah.
that out with the old, in with the new, out with the Republic, in with the Königreich.
Yeah. I get it's hard to say Königsreich. It took me a while.
No, I like pronouncing German. It's actually it's kind of fancy. I like saying it.
Deutschland.
Wow.
Deutschland.
Hold
Steve.
on, Deutschland.
I'm
It's-
sorry.
it's-
I don't know what to start.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because that you have like Königreich and stuff because because my Arthurian Empire was when I was doing my Reformation from Republic to monarchy. I actually based it a lot on the German Empire, from like 1871 to 1918. It was a unity of kingdoms under like the Kaiser and have like a chancellor and stuff like that. And I took a lot of those influences of government and like how they ran it into my nation, and like I said, it seems to work for me.
You know, I'm really
Yeah.
glad I joined this. I got better advice than I probably would have gotten from any of my advisors.
Yeah, Connie,
We are
like
your advisors.
exactly. we are the council shall decide the council shall decide your fate.
I am this council.
Was that actually a good Palpatine impression, by the way? Was it actually good, or were you just flattering me?
I can do a pretty good one. Let me try. The time has come. Execute order 66. It shall.
German.
Execute order.
Too German and too fast.
Can you do a Palpatine impression, AP?
I'm not gonna, because that's distracting from the point of the stream.
Oh,
so,
by the way,
So speaking of which,
guys,
speaking of which,
guys, I have
speaking of which,
We gotta make
speaking
this
of
about
which,
Star Wars.
for AP.
Yes,
AP.
now you gotta change the stream to like Star Wars.
Do you still have the stream put up on the Reddit?
Yes, I do. I believe I do. Let me
Emperor
check.
AP.
Well,
Yes.
Well, let's go ahead and just
I do
scroll
have
down the
a
Reddit
question.
thing and pick out the New Nations.
Agreed. So a lot of it. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying, Dan?
One question that I have is like, you know how I mentioned something about like building a military for my micronation, and
Yeah.
the reason why I chose to have it as a airsoft military as opposed to a Nerf military would be so we're not as defenseless, but at the same time we're not exactly too harmful
Yeah,
either.
we got Arthuria one for that. We have our weapons are Nerf guns, airsoft guns, and a couple of plastic lightsabers I have lying around.
Well,
I have our thing.
we needed melee weapons. That was the best thing I could come up with.
oh, by the way,
Oh, and I have my sword, of course.
another
Yeah,
idea,
also have to.
another idea that I'm proposing is like to cut back on costs. We're not going to be implementing tanks like I was implying. So basically, I've seen videos like where there have been some airsoft combat vehicles made from, for example, like SUVs. One example would be an Isuzu Rodeo, where basically it's framed from that. So basically, they just take the car apart and then build an entirely new vehicle from the chassis up, keeping the original wheels and also the original engine, with a possible upgrade to the engine.
Yeah.
That would be a cheaper alternative. And another idea is to modify like a 4-door Jeep SUV to be something like a combat Jeep, where it's more specifically like a 2-door version, like modifying it to the point where it just has 2 doors, where the rest is where it can fit 4 soldiers in the back, 1 gunner in the right side passenger driver's seat,
Yeah.
like the right side passenger seat, like front passenger seat, and one gunner standing, literally standing in the back
Yeah. It
with
sounds like a good
four carrying 4 people.
idea.
Yeah, it does. And not to mention, since the Dan Army Republic military is not going to have like the budget for a multi-million-dollar military, let's face it. I mean, as much as I would love to see that, it obviously won't happen. It's like, bro, you need to literally think realistically. I'm not going to have a multi-million-dollar jet, and if anything, if the Dan Army Republic were to have if the Dan Army Republic were to have a Navy or an Air Force, it would basically be things that we could easily build or buy. So, for example, ultralight aircraft fitted for airsoft war and boats that are fitted for airsoft war, either custom built or retrofitted from already existing ones.
Boats fitted for airsoft warfare sounds epic.
Yeah, it does.
Airsoft naval warfare. Now that's something I want to see.
Oh yeah.
We've been fired
Like,
cannonballs. made
Now
of
that's
paper,
going to be
and
something that
take
we can
each
see.
other.
Okay, now
An airsoft lander with an airsoft gun and a person made of airsoft with bullets.
Now, KTM
Actually-
did bring up a great comment in the chat saying let's try and stay on topic with the
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
new Micronations. So I have been scrolling through the Reddit actually, and there are a few interesting flags that I saw.
Whatever you do, don't. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a good thing about a micronation is it all starts with the flag. Like I'm personally very proud of the Arthurian flag, and also I'm just gonna say if you're on Reddit and you're looking at micronations, whatever you do, do not look at Reddit Nation for God's sakes.
Jeez.
Oh no.
Thanks for having me. I think I'm gonna get off tonight, but I really appreciate
Okay.
it.
Absolutely, Koenig. It was great to have you.
Remember, Clone Wars is your solution. I'm joking.
All right, well,
Yeah.
have a good time, guys.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, Koenig.
Yep. But yeah, I think that's a good point. Like micronational flags, it's all about having a good flag, and I feel like if you have a bad flag, then that already sets like a bad like taste in other people's mouths. Like you gotta before you can even say what your nation is about. Like it's all about the flag.
It's definitely a great jumping off point. I think I'm definitely not opposed to nations changing their flags, though. I know a lot of people have back and forths about that, but I feel like if you're dissatisfied with, even if it's just your flag, and you want to make that change, that shouldn't be an issue for you. You know, trying to start off with something that's like handmade or whatever, and then going into a little bit of a difference, or maybe your nation starts off with one ideology, one political platform, whatever it is, and transitions. You need to be able to let that reflect who you are and what you're doing. So don't feel like stuck to your flag if you think it's bad or if you think it's not accurate to who you are. I think,
Yes.
yeah.
I agree with that. I have gone through like 5 different flag changes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and it's just a lot about trying to find what feels right for you in that moment. I think there are plenty of nations who have done flag changes and I'm sure feel better because of it. But the other thing that I'm interested in is talking about r/micronations in general, because the biggest thing that I have issue with our micronations is that a lot of the posts, a lot of them are introductories, you know, getting people out there, getting people familiar with the community, or advertising, and all that's great. The thing that I see that is interesting is that people go into great detail to describe legislation, to describe tax law, to describe all of these different very complex topics and things that they've fleshed out for their nation already and have gotten approval for and votes for and all these different things that don't have a whole lot of connection to the real world.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think I'm gonna head off for the night. I got some questions to answer for some people, and I think I'm gonna go to sleep. So I had fun going on the stream.
Sounds
So,
good. Have a good night, Emperor Vincent.
That's all my
Good night, Emperor Vincent the First.
Arthuria out. Arthuria out.
But yeah, so the great question that comes up here then is those nations who do that, who have these huge lists of laws and regulations and things that they can't actually enforce or put in place or even be usable yet because of their size and because of their capabilities. You have to ask yourself, are those realist nations or are those fantastic nations? If you do have realist goals, you would think that they would want to shrink them down to be more fitting and appropriate for their size at the moment. There's definitely like wishful thinking, and that's good, and it's exciting to work toward that goal, but that shouldn't be your current legislation. That should be like expansions on things that you have before. And then in addition to that, if these nations consider themselves fantastic, then why is it that they're focusing so much on the specifics of like tax law or property rights and things like that in their nation? I just think fitting the things that you're doing with your nation, whether it's your outfit, whether it's your laws, whether it's being a democracy versus a monarchy, whatever it is, you need to have a way to understand where your mindset needs to be, what level you need to be working on for the number of citizens you have, for the amount of land you have, and the amount of money that you're making.
Yeah. What's the chat and stream been like? You haven't gotten over that.
That is very true. We actually have quite a bit. And KTM, I think you've been posting in it. Richard Taylor said, if you get a 4-door, just take the back doors off and put a bracket across and open them. Oh, he's talking about making an airsoft vehicle. You said, we have ideas that we like to share, but VC never looks at the goal of the stream. Yeah, agreed. People like to get onto their own topics and stuff.
Yeah.
Richard said they made 8 different flags before they decided on the one they have now. Yeah, and Richard, I think that's a great point. Even if that's like an early thing, or whether that's all of a sudden, if you decide you have these different flags that you want to try out, go ahead and do it, because until you are really, really solidified as a nation, until you really feel set in what you want, you have free reign to do what you want. You are able to change that, and being dissatisfied with your own things makes it less likely that you're going to be a good advocate for what you're trying to do because you don't feel confident in it. We also had Gojira join. What's going on, Gojira? It's good to see you. We have had a whole bunch of people. We've had Lowe's Boy jumping in the chat a little while ago. They said, imagine not being a corrupt nation and most of the national budget is taken out of Lowe's Boy Industries. Interesting. I have no idea what Lowe's Boy Industries manufactures, but you'll have to keep me updated on it. Comrade 115 then actually made a great comment. They say, is Lowe's Boy Industry the corporation that owns Lowe's? And I love that. Dan, was there something you were going to say?
Yes. Thinking about my flag design, in general terms, like the flag design that is now the Dan Army Republic flag was originally drawn up in 2016 as the Dan Army flag, and of course this still remained the same until at least 2018. And speaking about how long the Dan Army Republic literally took to plan, it literally took around like 3 years of planning from 2017 all the way down to now. So in reality, it's been something that I've literally been anticipating, but however, the thing is, I really didn't know when I'd be able to implement it, because then I knew that I was going to have to, of course, work on the Constitution, which, well, fortunately, I actually managed to do just that and finish it. And, well, the good thing is, the Constitution manages to do one thing, and that's cover what rights what rights the Dan Army Republic citizens have, like pretty much also reinforces laws and so forth. In regards, would you mind if I really read the Constitution, more specifically Article 1 through 5?
Um, I feel like that would take a little bit more time than we have. I actually was going to jump off here in just 1 second. But next time we do get into a stream, I would love to do one based on like laws and based on talking about how someone should set those things up. And I think that'd be perfect for that stream.
Yeah.
Okay. It would be nice if you would message me because I would really love to join it.
Absolutely. I will try my best. It's right now it's a little more rare for me to do a live stream because I have to set aside the time to it. Whereas with an edited video, I can kind of work on it here and there and then post it. But I will definitely keep you updated for next time we have a stream.
Okay. Anyway, just a bit of information about the Constitution. The first thing it covers is like the power the government has, and even Article 2 covers like the civilian rights and so forth. Article 3 basically covers customs along with like specific regulations. Article 4 covers recyclable, like recycling and so forth, like mandated recycling. Article 5 is really just the criminal justice system. I mean, some of them have like 6 or 7 parts to them, but it makes sense because I had to add more parts, you know?
Absolutely. And I definitely feel like you can have things that are expansive and things that are detailed, but that expansion and that detail should fit the size and the breadth of what you're doing. I definitely think that, like you're talking about with recycling, something like that is perfectly fine to have because you can regulate that yourself and what you choose to recycle and how you choose to go about that. So anyone that joins your nation knows about it. The thing that I think would be a little more difficult, and again, when we do our next stream, we'll have to look at your laws and regulations in more detail to see how well they fit. But my interest, I guess, would be in your legal system as far as crime and punishment. I think it's hard, if not impossible, for micronations to enforce much punishment on their citizens other than something that is accepted by the citizen or effectively removing the citizen from the nation. Other than that, you can't really throw anybody in jail. You can't beat anybody. There's not great ways other than like fines that are willingly accepted or some social punishment to really deter people.
Right. As far as I'm concerned, it's like I've always asked myself, I mean, will the Dan Army Republic be, suitable? Like, will it actually be, will it be kind of realistic to a degree? Like, is it going to be that realistic where almost every person that is serious will look at it that way? Well, that's only one thing that I don't really know too much. But, well, all I could really say is that I really look forward to doing whatever I can to really help out everything, including the micronational community. Give a good example as to like what micronationalism can be in general, like the greatness of everything. I mean, I would rather my micronation be remembered for what it was, or for what really the greatness it is, not like anything that's like this or that bad.
Absolutely. And I think, well, first off, KTM said they think they're going to go to bed. KTM, I hope you
Okay.
have a good night. See you later. Also,
All right. See ya.
Dan, I definitely agree with that. I think just to give one last note on that, micronationalism is a lot about the emotion that you can bring to someone who's a part of your nation. It's about making them feel connected to a community and about ensuring that culture is well spread amongst your people. And sometimes it is a lot more about that feeling than the actual laws in place, than having something specifically written on the book that describes what everybody should be doing. As you get larger, those things are more and more important to have written, because there should be an equal playing field for everyone. But as a small nation, I think it's a lot more about ensuring the community feels unified than actually having regulation to balance things. But yeah, with that, I think I am going to start getting ready to head out. I hope everybody
Okay.
had. What's up?
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
All right. So I hope everybody has a great night tonight, and
Thank you.
I will see you guys next time.
See ya.
Alright. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
And you guys in the chat, in the live chat with us, thank you all so much for hanging out once again. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna definitely be back with more of these. We got more stuff coming up soon. I'm trying to post more videos, trying to get some live streams out there so we can get to 1,000. So I can show you guys what that means for us. Hey, we got Andrew Mesh joined us. We got 773 now. Andrew getting us to 1,000. We almost are to 800. We have 773. 775 gets us 25 away from 8. And y'all are